Hey everybody, welcome to Fit Tip Tuesday. I am continuing on with my body specific adjustments that you may need to make to your pants pattern before you start cutting out your fit muslin. And today I want to talk about prominent inner thighs and knees. Now, this is an interesting topic because it involves sort of shifting fabric over to the inseam. And for a lot of these adjustments, I've been telling you to look in the mirror and see what your shape is telling you in terms of things that you might be able to adjust to make your pattern more custom to your shape. So if you are looking in the mirror and you're standing with your feet together, if your upper thigh and knee touches and then your legs below your knees do not touch, that's a good indication that you have fullness in your inner thigh and your knee that needs extra room. Now, what can also be a good indicator is if you look at yourself in the mirror wearing a pair of pants, and they could be ready to wear pants or pants you've made in the past. And if you reach down to your upper thigh area on your side seams, if you can grab handfuls of fabric at your side seams, but yet your inseam seems to be snug, that's an indication that you have enough ease or possibly even too much ease in your leg, but the fabric hanging out under your full hip along your upper thigh is just hanging out there. It can't really travel over to the inseam. So I'm going to show you how to shift your fabric over towards the inseam, and this can help you get a much better fit. Now, a lot of times this is a back leg adjustment, and so I'm going to start with that. So here I have, this is a bootleg fashion pattern that I ordered to work with my daughter Anna. And what I want you to notice here is, notice there's plenty of room for a behind here, but notice my inseam. I have the crotch reaching way out, and then it's angling into the knee to make a more fitted leg. So it's not a super wide pattern from the knee down. Now, if you're working with a pattern like this, that's the kind of pants pattern that this is going to be important for. If you're working with a full leg, many times the inseam looks like the front leg and the back as well. So I just want to show you this. So if this were a full leg pattern, at the tip of the crotch, front and back, the inseam is going to be more straight and not as angled in. In those cases, you don't need to worry about making this adjustment. So I think I've talked about how the style pattern you're working on requires different measurements and different considerations. So if you're working with a wide leg pant or a full leg trouser, you really don't need to worry about this as much, especially if your inseam is falling pretty straight from the tips of the crotch, front and back. But if your leg looks like this leg does, you can see a prominent inner thigh might not have enough room here. So let me show you what we're going to do. I am going to make a guideline here, and this is a really tiny pattern, so typically I would make this adjustment between 3/8, a half an inch, up to maybe 3/4 of an inch, depending how much you think you need to move over. And remember, we're going to be adding extra to our inseam and our side seam and our waistline, so we don't need to worry about it being the exact amount that we need to shift over, but getting it to agree with our shape will help us fit things once we get into our fit muslin. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a guideline for the amount I'm going to shift the fabric this way. Okay, so notice I made just a little short guideline right here next to my grain line. Then what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to cut this leg off, and I'm going to cut right along the knee line, or the approximate knee line if your pattern doesn't have a knee line, like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this grain line and I'm going to slide it over like this, so now it's lining up with the guide I marked. And I'm going to use my Scotch tape to tape that down. So what I want you to notice about this is we are not changing the measurement of the leg. We're not going to change the ease here. We are just shifting it over to where your fullness is. Now this might be also very helpful if you have a very curvy full hip and then you have fabric hanging below your hip doing nothing to help you fit your pants. And then if you feel like you're snug through your crotch, that's another good reason. But notice here, what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to start below the adjustment and I'm going to fill this in. So notice what I'm doing here is I'm adding some extra ease, and I'm just going to hash it in so you can see. We're adding all of this to the inseam to make more room on the inseam, and then over here on the side seam we're just going to trim it off a like amount. Now I want you to notice that I'm starting at the same spot, right? So if I'm plussing, you know, a ½ inch here, I'm minusing a ½ inch here, right? So I haven't changed the measurement. I'm just moving the fabric towards the inseam and the knee area. And I'm also ending at the approximate same level. So if you look here, you can see that I've made a very similar adjustment, adding and removing. So this adjustment will help you if you have prominent inner thighs and prominent knees to give you room along that inseam. Now once you've shifted it, the other thing you can do is you can actually measure. So I'm just going to switch colors here. Let's use this blue. So I'm going to just put my ruler here, you know, about an inch or so below the tip, below the crotch level. Okay, I'm just going to draw myself a line here. And if I measure this, and then I bring in my front and measure it in a similar area, like this, remembering to take off the seam allowances. So if I measure the front, and let's say I get, I don't know, let's say I get 12 in the front, and let's say I get, you know, 15 in the back, let's say. I'm just pulling out numbers out of my hat here. And then if you compare that to your upper thigh measurement, if your pants pattern needs more ease, you can come in and actually fill this in some more. Okay, and if you do that, then you may need to bring it past the knee a little bit. You don't want to create a sharp angle by coming in and then all of a sudden going straight at the knee, because what that will do is it'll create a hinge sort of thing where your pants will look like sailor pants. It'll look like they're bowing out if you've got a sharp point here. So just gradually add some here if your upper thigh measurement on the pattern is not big enough, but everything else is agreeing. So this is the kind of situation where if you're working with a slender leg pattern or a fitted leg pattern, you want to make sure you have enough ease. And if you picked your size on your based on your full hip, then if you need to let the leg out, you know, it's a good idea to do that before you cut out your fabric. You can always take your inseams and side seams in, but letting them out is a little harder to do, especially after you get out of your single leg muslin and work towards your 2-leg muslin. because we're going to trim back our inseams to a 1/2 inch when we get to our 2-leg muslin. So there's not a lot of fabric to let out an inseam if it's not, if you need more room. So being able to give yourself that extra insurance along your inseam is, really important if you have that and you're working with a slender leg pattern that's not wide enough to start out with. So if it is wide enough, you're just going to do what I did here the first time. You're just going to cut the pattern, shift it over, okay? But if you measure, and you would need your front leg to do that as well, measure both and add them together. And if your upper thigh is the same measurement, or you don't have a couple inches of ease there at least, you can let it out over here as well to give yourself more room. And in that case, you can also do the same thing in the front. You can let that out a little bit. Now you'll notice in the front, depending on the pant style, you have less room to let out, but you certainly can let that out as well if your upper thigh does not have enough ease. So this is something you can do to customize your pants pattern after picking out your size based on your full hip. I know in my top down center out pants fitting series, I show how to pick different sizes based on your shape. So if you're working with a graded nest, you could also just pick a bigger size to give yourself more room here, and a smaller size on the side seam as well. But this is just another way to do it, and I really like the fact that there are many ways to fit pants, and in this case, this gives you the option to shift the fabric over without changing the measurement, or just adding a little extra in the area where you need it. If you have any questions or comments about how to shift the fabric towards the inseam to make more room for a prominent inner thigh and knee, please let me know and I will help you. You can post your comments below. Next week, I'm going to talk about body asymmetry. So if you have a higher hip or something that's not equal left to right, we're going to talk about that next week. So join me for that. Tomorrow during subscriber Q&A, I am going to talk about 2 adjustments that are sort of going in the opposite direction, but you may need both of them. So tomorrow during subscriber Q&A, I'm going to talk about what to do if you have a high round back adjustment that you need to do for your shirt, but you also have a sway back. Because as we know, adding to the high round back is adding length for the curvature of your upper back, but a sway back actually is shortening the length. So I'm going to show you how to do those 2 adjustments together to be able to fit the back of your shirt if you have a high round back and you also need a sway back adjustment. So I will see you live tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for that fun topic. And also, I am so sorry, I am teaching all day on Friday, so there is no FabFit Friday this week. I really apologize for that. I know I said I would come back and do it after ASG, and then I looked at my calendar and I'm like, oh, that's right, you scheduled those classes on Zoom. I was supposed to go to Minneapolis next weekend to teach for Stitches Boutique, but because they went on a business so abruptly, I decided to offer those classes for Stitches students and anyone else who wants to join me this weekend. So I am teaching Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this week. It's going to be a super fun week for me because you know I love to teach, but FabFit Friday is going to be not possible because I'm teaching pants fitting all day. So I apologize for that, but we will get that bias sew along going next Friday, and we're going to do it every Friday until we finish. I'm not going anywhere. So this is the last Friday that I have a conflict. So I apologize for that. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for subscriber Q&A at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.